Greetings everyone. Today I wanted to bring to you some discussion on how to keep your hair healthy, or present four things that you really need to do so that you can prevent breakage of your locks. The last thing you want is to start experiencing breakage, because it will create uneven locks. It can affect your grid. It can also affect the long-term growth potential of your hair. So I think it's something worthy to talk about. I'm going in today to actually get my hair retightened, and I'm hoping to get my loctician to give you some feedback and some words of advice when it comes to Sisterlocks, if she'll participate. I have a video from my other loctician that I never posted that I have to post. But anyway, I wanted to talk about four main things. The first thing has to do with what I'm doing today prior to getting my hair locked. It is so important to go through your grid and make sure that you separate your hair. If your hair grows a lot between retightenings, it is important to do this, because the hair will marry and the strands will become entangled. And when your loctician is going through your hair, it's important to make it as easy as possible. I cannot stress to you enough that when you make things easy, your loctician is not frustrated. It saves time. It shows that you care for your hair, but it also prevents what can happen when someone's going through your hair quickly to retighten and snapping hair fibers or hair strands without realizing that the hair is actually breaking. So it's up to you to really ensure that this doesn't happen, because you have the opportunity to pull the hair apart very gently. And so that is probably one of the main things, because as the hair snaps, which it inevitably will, and I'm going to go over this in another video, you're going to notice the new hair coming in. Like, for example, in parts of my hair, I have a lot of loose hair around the sides because my hair is still growing, and even up in here, I don't know if my hairline is moving forward or what, but my hair seems to be getting thicker, which is a good thing. But at other times, I think that hair that is popped is growing back in, and so you're going to constantly have those loose strands. But if your hair has been breaking at the root bed, you're going to have more loose strands coming in, which means you're going to have lock thinning. The second thing I want you to keep in mind is the length. The length is important, because if you're someone who's very meticulous about their hair, you're going to pick the length out. And by picking the length out, it really does affect the integrity of the lock. I can tell you this because you all know I have been in the length battle since month 6, and I continue the length battle. And because of my relentlessness with the length, I can see the effect that it's had on my locks, especially in the front, because I pick the length out more in the front. And the back is extremely long. I mean, I have some pieces that are super long. If I was standing up, you would see what I mean. And the front length has been compromised because of the constant length picking. Now, here's the thing. When I talk about length, people tend to say, I don't have length. And you might be wondering, why is she always complaining about length? But I'm here to tell you, you're going to have length. And it's not just going to come from the pillowcases. It's not just going to come from the towels, from cleaning. It's going to come from life. Okay? You can go through a day and you're going to pick up fibers from the environment, and if you don't pay attention, they do collect on the hair, and they collect down the length of the lock. So I'm not just talking about the debris from the shampoos and the conditioners. I'm talking about the small particles that land on your hair that over time collect. And I'm gonna get my girlfriend Serena. You all have seen her on a few of my videos, and she was with us on the 25-day cleanse. She's recently, in the last couple of weeks, cut about 3 or 4 inches of her locks, because she went through and has seen lint all over her hair. And I never paid attention to it too much until she brought it to my attention. But the interesting thing that she said was, it was always there, I just didn't want to see it. And she laughed about it because we were talking about how life is and the things that we need to deal with. They're really always there under the surface, but we choose not to look at it. And when she chose to look at it, she saw lint everywhere, and I did too. It was all throughout her lock, to the point where picking is almost a mood issue, because she's had her locks going on 10 years, and it's just throughout the entire length of the lock. So she cut where it's worst, which is about the bottom 3 to 4 inches, but she still has lint up through the lock, which she's getting ready to try to figure out what she's going to do about that. She's considering maybe dyeing. So what happens is the lint like weight. You know how when you eat and you overeat over time, you don't really feel the 1 pound, the 2 pound, the 3 pound, but you wake up one morning and you realize, dag, I've put on 7 pounds. The lint is like that. If you don't maintain it, if you don't go through your hair and just take a look every other day and take the lint out, when you wash it, it gets wet, it becomes more embedded. So take my advice when I tell you about the lint. Try to shake your hair on a daily basis. You'll notice lots of fibers coming out. Check your hair before you wash it. When you finish washing it, a lot of the lint will sort of come up to the surface of the hair. Make sure you go through very gently and just pull it out with a pair of tweezers. If you wait until it's embedded in the lock, you're going to have to go through, and as you pull it out with the tweezers or whatever it is you may be using, your fingernail or however it is you may do it, your hair will be more prone to breakage. So that's the first thing that I want you to remember in terms of lint. Now the third thing that's important for you to do is, if you're going to color your hair, wait until your hair is very strong. Wait until the regimen that you use on your hair has been working, and your hair has integrity and it has strength, and you are very you're confident that by coloring your hair you can withstand some additional dryness and perhaps some breakage, because you will experience dryness primarily more on the ends, and you will need to provide that extra moisture that your hair is going to need. That's going to be very, very important. And if you're going to color, you want to, especially if you're not used to coloring prior to actually having your locks. I mentioned to you all before on previous videos that I colored a lot. I colored a lot prior to getting my locks, and so I know what my hair can handle. But I've colored quite a bit with my locks, and I've decided that I'm probably not going to color this summer. I'm going to wait a while, because in addition to the coloring, I also decided to decrease and to virtually eliminate any of the oils that I was using on my hair for a series of months, just to see how that impacts the lint and the cotton, and just my hair attracting more fibers from just moving around. So in doing that, my hair is drier than normal. So the last thing I want to do is add extra stress on my hair by trying to color. So that's something else that's very important. If you can color before getting locks, if you haven't gotten your locks already, obviously color before locks. If you're coloring after locks, make sure your hair is settled, make sure your hair is very strong. The fourth thing I want to mention is just the importance of making sure that you actually get your retightenings done on time. That's very, very important. When you don't get your retightenings done on time, your hair marries very much at the roots. Your hair becomes unruly. It becomes easier to break, and it becomes a lot less, it's not as strong. So making sure that whatever your retightening schedule is, that you follow that. I personally don't suggest, when it comes to retightening, doing them more frequently than 4 to 6 weeks. I think that over time, I think some people, for me, doing them 4 to 6 weeks would be tragic. I know that my hair would experience breakage, and so I just would not do that. But I know some people are being told that that's what they need to do, so I'm not here to dispute that. You should do what you think is right, but just know that over time, the stress and the pulling on frequent retightenings does have a consequence. So hopefully, if you are retightening every 4 to 6 weeks, you have a loctician who's very gentle on your hair, even if it means that it's going to take a little extra time to perform the retightenings. And you also have a situation where you're not being recommended to retighten all the time for the length and the duration of having your locks that frequently. It's very, very important, and that's the main reason why I go through before my retightenings, and I do the front part of my hair, because I know that I can be very gentle with that part, and I'm not going to rush, and I can separate everything very very carefully, and I can make sure that these parts of my hair, the integrity is maintained at a different level. In addition to the fact that I'm tender-headed, and when hair is pulled or breaks, I can hear the strand snap, and it's something that has bothered me over time. So I take care of this part of my hair, which means I am doing this part of my hair roughly probably every 6 weeks, but I'm definitely making sure when I do it that I'm very, very tender, so there is definitely no breakage and no tension on my scalp there. So I just want you all to be aware of those 4 things that you need to be mindful of. Okay, again, the first thing is being mindful of unmarrying and detangling your root bed prior to getting a retightening, and each time after shampooing. Really take the time to do that. It's worth it. The second thing is watching the color. Okay, making sure that you don't do the coloring too often, making sure that if you do it and you can get it done prior to getting your locks, do it then. If not, you want to make sure your hair has a lot of integrity and is very strong, and that you fortify your hair with the necessary moisturizers and essential oils prior to doing the coloring, and you want to do this over a period of time. The third thing is watching your retightening scheduling, making sure that you don't wait too long, but by the same token, making sure that you're not getting the retightenings too early. The fourth thing is making sure that you maintain a schedule for checking your locks for lint, because I guarantee you, you have lint. Whether you see it or not, you have it. And once you see it, you will be mortified if you've waited too long, because it'd be almost difficult to impossible to get it out. So maintaining that on the front end by shaking your hair out, by being mindful of some of the other things that I talk about in other videos on the war against lint. You want to do that on a regular basis, because once you have to take the lint out and you have to pick at it with tweezers or a push pin or your fingernails or whatever it is you may be using, it's going to result in affecting the integrity of your lock to some degree. You're with Tanisha Ali, connecting you to the vision of who you truly are and unleashing your divine feminine spirit. I help women to get clarity, to up-level their mindset, to heal and clear energetic and emotional blocks, and manifest abundance. You can find me on Butterfly Transformations, my other YouTube channel, where we talk about more issues related to spirituality, the self, shadow work, and everything else that you need as you're journeying forward to become your best version. Hopefully that this video helped you. Have a beautiful and prosperous day, perfect people, and beautiful butterflies.